Hi everybody, Mature Simmer here. So welcome to another year on the farm. So I am in the midst of planting here, just getting the fields ready to go. Included in last year's summary, or last year's episode, was the fact that we did need to lime field 37 here, so it is freshly limed and brought back up to its highest level of productivity possible. So I'm doing that. I've got the other weeder running on 35. I haven't touched 36 yet, which it's kind of hard to tell because obviously the drawing distance or whatever of Farming Simulator is not taking us out that far. And one of the things that I had talked about was the decision not to expand for various reasons. Probably foremost is just the imminent FS25 and not knowing exactly what that'll throw into things. And honestly not having this massive desire for additional work. I mean, this is pretty time-consuming as it is. And as I continue to do this, like, I also realized, hey, if I bought that other field, because if we look at that, and we click over here, it's 1719, so we're about a little over 200,000. We would be running really, really close on our helper money and stuff, pulling things down. And that's assuming I don't need to buy any other supplies or anything like that as well. So more in hindsight, I definitely look at that as like, yeah, that probably was a good call to not try to do that, because there would just be, because certainly there would be more product consumed and all that, taking over that field, for example. I'd need more seeds, I'd need more fertilizer, everything would increase, and that just becomes added cost potential. I might have enough supply in my silos to absorb that, but then again I might not, and then we're going into debt, and like I said, we're probably looking at another several hours, certainly 2, 3, 4 hours added to the workload over the course of the year to get that done. So outside of that, not a whole lot of news that I've seen. There's a couple channels that I'm on their Discords that tend to do some announcements when things come out. Yeah, they're covering various pieces of equipment and taking a look at certain aspects of Farming Simulator 25 in a little deeper depth in theory. I really haven't watched any of the videos because, as I said, I'm not seeing anything that's like, wow, I'm really curious about that. To me, it's like it'll be what it will be, and I'm not chomping at the bit for new information. Because I don't know that, honestly, we're going to get a lot of new information. I mean, I've certainly come to understand that, while they've touched the product, they've gotten a little bit more information. It's not like they have some insider knowledge. They're looking at trailers and trying to discern what they think they see, and yes, they're pretty good at discerning in some cases, but it's not anything that is going to be more than mere speculation that ultimately will not be proved out until we're actually using the new sim and so forth. So I'm just trying to continue to figure out what's happening, because as I've shared in the past, there's a little bit of real life upheaval kind of hovering over my situation, and I just don't know what that's going to turn into, and if suddenly I'm going to kind of become more of the standard of someone who's working and so forth, where I get 3 hours a week to sim, and suddenly things go drastically way down, and that causes some significant decisions to be made, because yes, I'm certainly dabbling in lots of things right now, because I do have the luxury of having the time to do that. But if things kind of go back a little more traditionally, or even worse, things get really unpleasant, as far as having to go look for work and stuff like that, that suddenly then obviously must take priority over leisure time activities like this. So that's where I'm at. Not much more to say. Not going to extend this any longer than I need to, but just plowing away, getting the work done, and we will be back for the next step. So I'll see you in a bit. Alright, I am back here. Just doing a few things, but just here to fertilize, so nothing fancier than that. So I'm going to go ahead and get the fertilization done, and trying to get a few things done on air traffic and so forth on my VATSIM stuff. So busy doing that, so this is going to be a super short one. As I need to kind of pay attention there. Let me see, hold on, I might be able to do some stuff. Actually should be okay for 10-15 minutes if I need to. I don't know that I have that much to talk about, although suppose if I'm being honest and open with folks, I did, probably for the first time ever, have thoughts in my head of, do I just stop doing Farming Simulator? And I don't think I'm there yet, but the fact that it popped in my head, I think just starts to raise the red flags a little bit. That, yeah, I'm just starting to see there are other things in the sim world that draw me a lot more than this does now, just because, like I said, I'm not having that much excitement about FS25. Farm Sim Guy's someone I follow a lot. He's kind of my go-to thing. He posted a thing about goats. Goats are great. It's my wife's favorite farm animal. Being able to say, hey honey, look, there's goats, probably will get 5 seconds of excitement from her, and then she'll be like, they're not real goats, you crazy person, you're on your fake farm again. But so point being, as I've said before, like they're not announcing anything that we don't already know about. It's coming, and it's one of those that just not looking forward to going backwards and things like that going on. So it is a bit frustrating. And I've got all these ideas of things I want to do in Microsoft Flight Simulator, and I'm like, well, if I wasn't doing Farm Sim, I'd have those hours to do Flight Sim. So there's a possibility that it'll just start to become Flight Sim and Golf. I mean, it's kind of Flight Sim and Golf already with extra stuff. And really right now, the only thing I'm really doing in Farm Sim is that. But there's just so much to do in on the hills of Tuscany that I need to get together. I think I've almost got enough where I could get another episode together. So, as I've always said, it's not that that's died, it's just I always find a reason to do something else. And so I was trying to be honest with myself of like, I'm jumping on these other things. Like, I've been doing a lot of stuff with Mini Airways on Twitch, because that's not something I record for the channel, and I've kind of decided that's what I'll do on Twitch. I'll do probably things that I'm just streaming, and if people want to join and whatever, like it pops up on the Discord, so if you want to know when I'm going live, like I've got the live notifications there. It is kind of random, just kind of when I'm not recording something or whatever, but I've decided there's just too much challenge otherwise. And with the reality that I've shared before about other things happening in my life, with work and this and that might limit my sim time. I mean, I think that's really what would really be the straw that breaks the camel's back. If somehow I get to the point where I get, 5 hours of sim time a week, it's going to be hard to say Farming Simulator's going to be a large part of my jam there. Because I just still keep finding new things in the flight sim community. I found a new kind of virtual airline type thing that, as long as I don't have a commitment, I talked about it in, I think, my last episode, my VFR episode or something, or maybe it was even here in farming, I don't know, when I was doing stuff yesterday, because I did discover it yesterday and I had applied, and I'm like, if it's like this other airline where I've been in it since March and haven't literally done anything, but I'm still in it, like, that works, because then it's not a draw, a crazy draw, but I still get to enjoy seeing what the difference is with how FS Hub works and stuff like that. And I'm really kind of getting drawn to what Say Intentions is offering. They're definitely doing a ton of interesting stuff. So while Beyond ATC is certainly lighter on the wallet, I'm drawing a little bit there, but, and I want to be able to do some VATSIM controlling, and I'd prefer to do things other than ground and delivery, which is what I'm authorized to do now. But getting training has been impossible. I actually do have a session tonight that will happen, but it looks like they're, maybe opening up training. So that's good, but I was honestly looking at maybe transferring to another location, just to be able to get trained and be able to work tower. Because I think if I can do, tower, which then includes ground and delivery, you're always able to do everything below. So if nobody else is on, you're kind of doing all of it. But that kind of stuff could be fun. And certainly getting further could be fun. It's just I'd love to stay in the Atlanta space, because we have Atlanta, we have Charlotte, we have a couple big airports, and it's one of the few spaces that has that. Otherwise, you're just controlling at a bunch of little airports. So, which again is not terrible, but it's obviously just not as interesting. So, but all of that has really been pushing my brain a little bit of, well, do I rip the Band-Aid off and just say, I'll poke around in Farming Simulator 22, and if people are interested, because the other thing I could return to, and I guess I should say, because the other thing that was interesting is some of the thought pattern around this is, do I step away from these real-time farms, and do I just do Farming Simulator as, because again, like folks like Farm Sim Guy, I mean, yes, he has his own server that he goes and does things with Argsy on, so, but they're scheduling their own time. They're like, hey, it's been a month, you want to get together and pull stuff together for an episode, I think is what they do. I honestly haven't watched any of their multiplayer stuff, but I see his announcement pop up like once a quarter, it seems, with, hey, more work on our multiplayer server with Argsy. And I think, again, other people through the Discord or whatever can play. So it's not like that's all that's happening on the server, but they're doing kind of their thing there. Because that way then Farming Simulator just kind of becomes, okay, when I'm ready to do it, I do it, and there isn't this draw. Whoops, I do not want lime. Oh, I forgot I had lime in that. That's right, I dumped it in the other thing at one point, but no, I need fertilizer. I forgot. I didn't even know. I mistakenly dumped lime into the middle one too, because normally it's just the last one, but I'm going to have to try to remember that next time I have to lime a field. I didn't even know that you could mix and match within the silos. So it was pouring in, it was taking it. I'm like, oh, we're good. And then I realized, oh. But anyway. So yeah, there's definitely thoughts about what do I do, because even in FSN, definitely here in FOC, there's not a whole lot of interaction that goes on. So I've seen this person pop on yesterday for 2 minutes. I don't know if they're, again, a new farmer that's looking to do something, or if they're coming on as a contractor for someone. But they were literally in here for like 3 minutes yesterday when I was planting, and then they vanished. And the one I think I was recording, and it probably stayed in when I had someone else doing exactly that, and that was someone, Hawkins, another FM on the server, but I do not believe Naomi is an FM on the server. There's still only 3 of us. So, but there's very little chatter here and this and that and so forth. And so it's definitely still almost like a single player experience, even though I'm on a server. The difference is obviously, again, things progress in between, and that works. So but those are the things weighing on my heart at this point, of where do I really go, because I can't say the excitement is there for FS25. It kind of wasn't there for FS22, but it was one of those like, all right, this is the deal, let me go through it. And let me go through an upgrade cycle in this game, and I've done it, and so I know what to expect now. It's not this unknown thing of, all right, let's try it, let's see if it's what the good, the bad, the ugly. There's frankly just a lot of bad and ugly. If I was on FS19 today doing this, I'd feel just as enthused. And again, I wouldn't have had kind of what I'll call the ugly of just this, the sucking, soul-sucking nature of, I got to start over on mods. I mean, that's ultimately the big thing. I mean, because my thought when I said, well, what if I stop doing FOC and then I don't have that draw? Because, I mean, let's be honest, what have I gotten to here? I'm literally doing the same thing year after year after year, which I've said, I mean, that's farming. That's what farming is. So when I'm doing something, quote, air quotes, realistic like this, where a farm is moving on and I have to work on it, or crops die and whatever, where obviously if I'm doing the single player stuff, like, nothing's going to move without me. So if I don't do anything for a month, the farm will still be the way it was a month ago. Or if I don't do anything for a month here, my greenhouses will be dry and everything else will have fallen apart as well. Sorry, cough. And I realized I was turning into a tree. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, and I don't know, probably not a lot of YouTubers are just upfront like that, but I kind of feel the folks who do follow the channel understand, like, I'm upfront. I explain what's going on. It's kind of stream of consciousness in almost every one of my things. I'm not doing scripted series and things like that. It's just, hey, I'm in here, I'm playing. Let's enjoy time together, virtually together, whatever. But that's where my head's at right now. Could change tomorrow. I could suddenly become super excited. I don't know. We'll see. But just everything going on in real life and everything else, it's just kind of all coming together and being like, something might have to give, and I'm debating if You know, and again, is it all farming simulator? Is it some farming simulator? Is it no farming simulator? So I've got a few weeks yet till a decision would matter, I suppose. Let's say that, because I don't know that there's any point I have to make a decision. You know, obviously, if I stay in FOC and I refuse to move to FS25, at some point they're going to shut down the FS22 servers. You know, then I have to make a decision. But my thing is, like, I could stay on FS22 on the server, and my experience would be no different, because for the most part, you're not interacting with a lot of your FMs anyway. And like I said, this isn't unique to FOC, but it is, you know, it's just unique to how these communities work. And to some degree, I guess you could argue the FSN thing, where everything's manual and people need to wait for someone to deliver equipment and whatever, which is part of what I said was frustrating, because people would have the same issues as me. They'd have real life problems, and then they'd be like, yeah, I'm not on for a month, and then there's nobody to get you equipment, and you're stuck and you can't proceed. So that got frustrating, and some of the stuff that drove me over here. You know, they're trying to force interactivity with FSN, and when it works, I'm sure it'll be a lot more enjoyable than no interactivity here. But the issue becomes, unless you're friendly with folks outside, and again, I am, and I could certainly coordinate with folks. Hey, what night are you getting on? I mean, it's not like I wouldn't have people to do that with, but I'm not even motivated enough to do that with the farming simulator stuff. So it's like, has it kind of run its course in his Giants? Have I gotten to that point where I said, you're forcing people to fall in love with you every 3 years? Have I gotten to the point where I'm just not going to fall in love with Giants again? I don't know. So I'm going to be thinking on that, but just that's what I had to share right now, and I'll see you in a bit. I am back here for very early harvest morning, which is great, because that way we might be able to get this done in a timely way here. So that is what I am trying to do. So wasn't sure, because if I recall, I think I ended up going ahead and whatchamacallit, I did, sorry, doing like 12 things at once here as always. Why is the steering wheel so sensitive today? I ended up planting in May, I believe, and so I was like, well, not sure that it'll be ready in September, or if I'll have to wait till October. September still puts this on a weekend, which makes it a little bit easier, and so again, it's good from that regard. So I am happy to see that we have it. Alright. So they will start, and you can see obviously we've got just barely starting the bale. Alright, I knew they were near each other, so I was clicking around for a little bit. Ay, ay, ay. So we will get this over here, and I go across this way just because it makes it a little simpler to deal with. Now this one's a little further along, obviously, in that we've got 7,000 liters. So yes, very distracted morning here. So I'm going to go ahead to continue to be distracted, right? Go ahead and get this moving, and we'll just kind of do a a quick update of where my head's at, what's going on, and so forth. So I have gone ahead, and after watching some folks, I watched Two-Tone Murphy, who's an Irish content creator, or mainly streamer, I think, go ahead and get access to the MS 2024 live alpha test, which is taking place this weekend for just a few days, and watched several hours of him not really flying in a lot of cases, but just bouncing around from one location to another, or just changing weather, making it rain in the dark, making it snow, bringing out thunderstorms, lightning, stuff like that. And I am just so excited about 2024, but I started getting a little bit nervous about, man, what if my graphics card is not quite up to snuff, this, that, and whatever. So I made the decision to go ahead and splurge on a 4000 series card. I'm not going all the way to a 4090. First off, I don't know that I really need that, and the price difference between a 4090 and a 4080 is like $600. So gone ahead and gotten a 4080, which should obviously be just below the 4090, but probably will be just fine. Because if I look, I've got a 3070 right now, which should put me somewhere between recommended and ideal. Again, technically this doesn't quite get me to ideal, but it'll be a lot closer than I am now. So part of the rationale that had some basis in, other than, I'd really like the fanciest graphics that I can have with FS 2024, just because, even though, once again, I don't know that I care about 4K or any of that. I don't have monitors for that. I'm not going to go ahead and purchase that level of stuff. Well, I might have I don't know, my main monitor might be, because it is a gaming monitor. It's possible? I don't think it was a 4K monitor. But in any event, that is on its way, but that definitely raised the bug in me. And I've actually gotten pretty interested in Two-Tone Murphy's virtual airline, I guess, if you want to call it that, but they've just got this online thing in FS Hub, and it is kind of exactly what I thought, pretty laid back, whatever, but they've got just boatloads of little achievement things you can do that just get you flying all over the place, based on, I guess, what he has done as part of his streams over time, and they just throw things out there. And there's just hundreds and hundreds of things and legs and this and that that could be kind of fun. So I did spend a little bit of time. He had basically like this one achievement that was really more like your ability to kind of proceed. It was giving you ranks based on your ability to land at a lower and lower feet per minute thing. So it started at 300, and ultimately after over 5 levels you had to be less than 100. So I was proud. I made the last landing at, I think, like 38 feet per minute, so it was nuts. I've tried it in Neofly a couple times to get below 50 or whatever, and not been able to do it with any consistency. I think it happened once by accident as I was diving toward the airport, and then I basically like pulled up at the last minute to land, and ended up almost at 0 because I was just trying to avoid crashing into the earth, so it didn't really happen on purpose. But that starts to, again, engage my head with what I've shared this season of how much draw is Farming Simulator going to have for me given that we're going to have a lot of nothing going on for a while. And then it becomes one of those things like, after there's been nothing for a while and I haven't done much with it, then what? Then am I ever really compelled to do anything with it? So it's becoming more and more real. I'm not wanting that to be the case, I guess, if I really look at it. But maybe one could argue, I'm hanging on with some nostalgia or something, because Farming Simulator has been such a key point, or just a staple in my gaming life or simming life for so many years. I really got into this in, I guess it was I don't remember if it was 2020 or 2021. I know I wasn't on it right when FS19 started, because I think we were kind of toward the tail end, and maybe the last year and a half, so I think I was in the back half of that existence. So but either way, we're kind of coming up on the 3 years since 2022 and it came out, and so I'm probably talking about 4.5 years or something of my life there. So it might have been in 2019, and then the game had come out in 2018 or something, and I just was coming up on it in the... That's why I'm thinking it's like the spring of 2020, summer of 2020. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. But that is what's going on. Those are some of the thoughts, but again, I'll just kind of go through that and see where it takes me here. I don't think I ever get comments on the Farming Simulator videos. I know they get watched, but what I don't know is like how many folks are here because of that, and that exclusively, and that it may be very little at this point, because it's not as if I've had tons and tons of Farming Simulator content per week for quite some time anyway. So at this time, given the fact that I've not had mods worth noting, because there really aren't mods worth noting very often, those have kind of trickled away. I haven't had Hills of Tuscany VIP series since May. I did take a look at that. I did load it up last night just to take a peek and see what will it take to get done. And yeah, I'm just starting in the growing season of the barley I had planted, and then I have to go and harvest all the barley, and I believe that was what I was trying to do. And so I knew I had just hours and hours ahead of me that were going to ultimately end up in 10 or 15 minutes in the episode. So that becomes kind of the challenge that's happening there. But the fact that I didn't have this immense desire, that I haven't been in there since May, and we're here at the end of October, so we're literally 5 months later, and I wasn't like, oh, finally I'm back, I can't wait. The fact that that was not the feeling I was having is kind of what started getting me to, maybe sadly I'm experiencing what I was kind of grumbling about with Giants for a while, is stop making people fall in love with you again every 3 years. And I'm kind of feeling like I just don't know that I have the energy to fall in love with this thing again. And that's the sad thing, because it shouldn't take energy to fall in love with a sim. And I think if I think anyone would tell me, if you're being honest, like, my God, if you're talking about it that way, yeah, you need to at least take a break. So I'm beginning to speculate at this point, and I'm thinking, because again, I'm not going to be able to do anything substantial with Farming Simulator 2025, because there won't be a lot happening. So it'll be the same thing. I'd like load it up, I'd play around with the base map a bit. Ooh, this looks nice. And then I'd go back to Farming Simulator 2022 until mods came out. So I'm leaning toward I'm just not going to get this thing at release, and we'll see how things pan out. So that is where I think I'm going to be. But with that, that gets you up to speed of what has been happening recently. My concern now is, yeah, I think all the stuff should be showing up from Amazon today. So as part of the graphics card, a powerful card like that, it needs higher power capabilities, and then the sim also was like, yeah, if you're at ideal, you need 64 gig of RAM instead of 32. So I went ahead and spent the extra $100, $150 for that to get another 32 gig of RAM. So those should all be arriving sometime today, with my goal of probably spending some time this afternoon. Well, assuming they're here this afternoon. They may not get here till the evening, which is fine. Anyway, without getting into the whole panic of what's going on with it coming in, the general panic is as I start to disassemble the PC and replace the graphics card, the power supply, all that stuff. Am I going to run into some technical hurdles where I'm going to be fighting with my machine for hours trying to get it operational again? Obviously I'm not throwing away the old parts. I'm not doing any of that, but as anybody who's like replaced a power supply understands, like there's power cords going everywhere. And if you have to suddenly go back and back out and put everything back the way it was, that can be a little bit daunting as far as remembering where things go and so forth. So there's a little trepidation there, but that I'm kind of excited with, and this and that, and but that's the situation. So I'm going to go ahead and work on this harvest. I was actually going to go and practice a little bit of PGA golf this morning, but decided, that's right, I looked at this and knew it was going to be September, so I'm like, let me be a responsible farmer and go look at my crop instead of putting it off because I'm trying to do something else. But anyway, so we shall see where things take us from there, and we will be back here in a bit when I'm basically selling. Yeah, I guess it would be when I'm selling my fabric and ending the year. Because at this point, you know the drill. This is going to output bales. I'm going to move those bales over to the spinnery, and we're going to go from there. So I will see you in a bit. Hey everybody, back here. Finish off the year. I'm a little late. I've gotten sucked into trying to be competitive on this one thing in Flight Sim. It's I guess it's still a virtual airline, but it's on FS Hub, part of Two Tone Murphy's group, Firefly Air. And there's basically top 3 people in a tier get promoted into kind of the next tier. So having just started out, I'm in, I don't know, kind of the minors, if you want to say it. So there's a lot of us in there, and so being in the top 3 takes a little bit of work. So the last week has been spent, I think I did over 80 flights, and a lot of them are short, obviously, but I've spent a lot of time in there, and I've really been doing almost nothing else. Just got my PGA Tour stuff done and edited and this and that, and so I'm back here now. And I've been hemming and hawing about, do I even plant at this point? I think I should. I think maybe the next year, when we're going to be spanning over the release of FS25, if I'm going to take a break, that might make sense. And the that league and whatever, it takes, I don't know, 10 weeks, 10 to 13 weeks, they said, to kind of have it play out, and it started on October 10th. So we're probably getting darn near close to the end of the year before I really know what happens in Firefly Air. And so while I want to keep pressing on a little bit I think I can still go ahead and do what I need to here. But what will likely happen, let's head over to our spinnery over there. Is at this point, things are coming down. I don't have all my cotton picked up. You can see there's bales out there, so yeah, I've kind of just neglected the world out here. I'm hoping these things just stopped and did not did not run out of fuel. They did not, thank goodness, or, you know, break down. So I'm going to go ahead and put these away, but at this point, because I know I'm not going to go ahead and buy a field. I'm definitely, given that it's late October now, it doesn't make sense. I mean, there's nothing that's compelling me to do it, so I'm not in a huge rush to get some cash. I may actually let AI go ahead and plant. I'll talk about that, as I start up the episode for next year and decide what I'm actually doing. But I just wanted to come in and at least give you a wrap up and let you know, because it's not dropped a huge amount. It's still above 2,500, but there's not really a reason to go ahead and plow things in right now. So I'm going to go ahead and make the call that I'm not going to sell anything for this year, and we're going to basically do a double batch next year and then make a determination of where my head's at as we span FS25 coming out. I'm starting to lean toward, I just don't know if I'm going to go ahead and get it, at least initially. I don't know. Because I've got so many ideas or interesting things that I'm getting drawn to in my other sims. And like I said, this just isn't, it's not pulling things along. But yet on the flip side, yeah, I mean, I do enjoy the aspect of this. It's just, there's less of anything unique to do here, so it's less of a draw. I mean, and given what I did with the farm sim thing or the flight sim thing, like there's a lot of stuff backed up. I really want to get back into the shape series and get a little further on that, do that. So there's other things that are pulling at me too, that I feel I haven't done anything with. I haven't even poked around with my mini airways anymore recently. So let's see. Ooh, I think. You're kidding me. How did he like not turn off? I swear I filled him up. Maybe I didn't fill him up. And the fact he got done is kind of amazing if that was the case. Oh, this is the stuff that drives me nuts because... just because. Alright, well, I gotta deal with this. It's either going to be shoving it all the way over or, I don't know, getting a fuel can. I'm not sure. I might get a fuel can because I think this is a long way to push the thing. It's going to take me 30 minutes to do that. It's going to be a lot simpler to get a fuel can. So, a bit frustrating, but I will wrap that up, and we've got the year done. And as always, if you've not dropped a like or not a subscriber, please consider those things, and I will see you next time.